Tim, what are you doing?
Getting ready for Tea Time Live, the Giving Tuesday special.
But the live stream already started.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, let's go.
Okay, looks like I made it in time. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to Tea Time at the Seminary, a show where we have conversations with Orthodox Christians all while drinking our favorite cup of tea. I'm your host, Timothy Schenone, and you might have noticed that there's something different about today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, right now you are entering a new world for Tea Time at the Seminary. This is Tea Time Live, the Giving Tuesday special. Today's show is being produced to help spread the word that this Giving Tuesday, we're trying to grow the seminary's YouTube channel and media efforts. That means more tea time interviews, more public lectures, and more edifying and educational content that will reach people around the world. Your gift will support the investment in more video and audio equipment, help cover travel costs, and allow the seminary to invite more guest lecturers. Join us in spreading the stories and knowledge of Orthodox Christianity to the world. Now, for every episode of Tea Time, we always try to choose an interesting theme to revolve the conversation around. This episode's theme is the gift of giving, which is fitting because it's Giving Tuesday. If you'd like to ask a question to any of our guests, please email ask@spots.edu. That's ask@spots.edu to email us a question. It is the Giving Tuesday special, so if you'd like to help support the seminary's YouTube channel and media efforts, please go to spots.edu/teatime. That is spots.edu/teatime to give a gift today. Thank God, it's very important to mention that we received a pledge to match any donations up to $25,000 given to support the seminary's YouTube channel. That means for every dollar you give, that's $2 for the seminary. You can double your impact. So that's what's happening on Tea Time Live. And now, let's introduce the first guest. All right, everybody. Our first guest you've seen before on this channel. She's a schema nun from the convent of St. Elizabeth, the Grand Duchess of Russia, as well as an instructor here at the seminary. Last time we had her on our show, we talked about misconceptions about nuns. That's right, everyone. Our first guest is Mother Praxia from the convent of St. Elizabeth, the Grand Duchess. Mother, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me again.
Well, last time we were on this show, Tea Time at the Seminary, we talked about the misconceptions about nuns. And a lot of people had some very good feedback on it, and it was very well received. So I just want to say thank you so much for doing that video. So now we're doing this Tea Time Live show, and many people have seen you before. So thank you so much for coming onto the show.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, today is Giving Tuesday, and the theme of the show today is the gift of giving, right? So I'm going to ask questions that relate to the gift of giving. And so here's question number one. You ready? How does giving to others strengthen us as Christians?
Well, I would first want to preface the answer with that just because you give doesn't mean it's necessarily always going to be in a good way. So you have to make sure that you are giving in a way that is spiritually profitable. Because I was recently reading a homily by St. John Chrysostomos in which he was talking about almsgiving, and he was warning that just because you give doesn't mean that it will always be in a way that is profitable for you. So you have to make sure that you're giving in a charitable way, not in a way that is going to simply, make your status better or something like that. It's better to do it in a charitable way. But there are so many ways that you could answer this question that we don't have time to sort of cover all of the possibilities. But the main things that I would say about what spiritual benefits we gain from giving would have to do with the various aspects of how you can become Christ-like, for instance. For one thing, when we give, we are remembering that everything that we have, we received from God. So we don't have anything of our own to begin with. And when we give, we are imitating Christ, who has given us everything. So there's, imitation of Christ, and also brotherly love. Giving to others helps to strengthen us in our Christianity, because we are showing concern for others who are possibly less fortunate than ourselves. And by doing so, we, again, not only are we imitating Christ, but everything that we do to show love for our brethren helps to bring us closer to God. Like St. Dorotheus gives an example of a circle with a point in the middle, and the point in the middle represents God, and if you draw a line from any point on the circumference towards the middle, if you have each line being like the trajectory of the Christian life, every line, as it draws closer to the other lines, which would be other Christians' lives, the closer we draw to God, and vice versa. So they're tied together. So showing love and concern for others helps us to come closer to God. But there's so there's so many stories about how Christ has shown that when someone gives to, especially alms to the poor, they're giving directly to him. There was one saint who saw Christ standing over a poor man and taking into his own hand the alms given by a passerby. And so that, combined with, if you think about the account of the Last Judgment that Christ gave in the Gospel of St. Matthew, everyone is judged by how they treat their brethren, whether charitably or otherwise. So we have all of everything that we want, however we want God to treat us, then that's how we should treat our brethren. So and remember that whether we're giving alms or whatever we're doing to one another, we do it to Christ. But there are a lot of stories in the lives of the saints in which it is shown that when someone gives charitably, that Christ rewards it 100-fold in the next life. So there was, I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was Saint Sozon who saw, he had given a garment, I think, to a naked man on the street, and he had a dream in which he was shown trunk after trunk after trunk of all of these beautiful garments. So it was 100 of them given to him in exchange for the one, simple garment he had given to a poor man. Mm-hmm. So we have all of these examples of how it is that we can become more Christ-like. We can please Christ. We give everything to Christ, but also that Christ shows us that when we give, we receive even more, and what is more valuable from him. So I hope that helps to begin. Yes. It's not the whole answer, I think, because you could talk about it for a long time. But
we're talking about giving, so I actually forgot to do something, to give you the tea.
Okay.
So we're going to do that right now.
Okay.
But before we do that, I need you to choose the tea. We actually used to do this a lot on the old show. We used to have people choose the tea, but we still kind of do that from time to time. I do it before the show begins now. So, all right, so the two teas that you have there are Earl Grey and raspberry. Which one would you like?
I think I'll try the raspberry.
Okay, the raspberry is that one right there.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to pour the tea for you. Oh yeah, and then the next question while I'm pouring the tea. Okay, so Mother Praxia, what is the symbolic meaning behind the three gifts that were given by the three kings to Christ on Nativity?
Well, so the gold and the frankincense and myrrh are usually understood as references to Christ as king, as God, and as a man who is going to die and be buried, and of course also pointing to the resurrection. When I was reading a homily or the commentary on the Gospel of St. Matthew by St. John Chrysostomos, and he also mentioned that in passing, but he put more emphasis on the immaterial gifts that the Magi brought to Christ, which was their knowledge, their obedience, and their love. And I think that it's it's important on the one hand to understand the symbolism of the material gifts that they brought, but I think it's also interesting and I think helpful to us to understand that what they brought to God, which was most pleasing to Him, was themselves and their own characteristics, so to speak, their knowledge they put in the service of God, and their obedience. They showed greater obedience and love towards Him than many of the Jews who were around at the time. So that's thought was an interesting aspect of that you don't necessarily think about.
I think before we even started the show, you mentioned that We Three Kings, the Christmas Carol, kind of explains it there.
Yes, it does it very beautifully. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it's a very good one. In fact, is that going to be sung at the Christmas concert that's going to be happening here?
I'm trying to remember. We did it. I think we did it last year, but I'm not sure. We may not be doing it this year, but we certainly did.
But I should mention to everybody there is going to be a Christmas concert that the nuns are going to have here in Etna, and it's going to be very wonderful, I think. Okay. All right, so here's one more question. Now, before I ask this next question, I need to let you all know that you can ask her a question too, because after this question is your turn. And the way to get to that question is to go to ask@spots.edu to email us what you want to ask Mother Praxia. Okay, but here we go. This is my next question to you. How do we use our given talents to glorify God?
Okay, well, I think that question presupposes the assumption that we should, which is true, but I'm not sure it's necessarily always obvious to people. I think because of a limited understanding of talents themselves, or ways in which that's possible, or whether it's even necessary. And I was recently in my New Testament class, we were talking about the parable of the 10 talents. And I think it's important for us to remember that it's an example, this example of the one man being given 5, the other 2, and then the last one 1, and what they did with them is a lesson for all of us. So it's not just a matter of whether or not you want to, or thinking that maybe some people can and other people can't, but rather that God gives everyone abilities or gifts, maybe not even all the super obvious ones, which can and should be put in the service of God. So the ones who were given 2 and 5 multiplied them by cultivating them, by using them for others. But the one who was given 1, it says he buried it in the earth. Well, one of the commentaries explained this burying in the earth not simply as not doing anything with it, but burying it in himself. So if you're going to talk about it in terms of the kinds of talents that we think of in terms of skills or abilities, that kind of thing, the burying it in the earth would be kind of like using it only for your own advancement, or only for your own satisfaction. So the use or putting our talents to use for the glory of God is something that everyone can do. And I think part of the reason why people might hesitate about that would be because they're thinking in terms of just like very obvious things. Like if you are good at singing, then maybe you can sing in church, or you have a handicraft skill and you can sew something for the church, or you can build something for the church. And people who don't have those kinds of obvious skills might think, well, what can I do? But the truth is that everybody has gifts that can be given and put to the service of the church, put it to the service of one another. And one thing that always strikes me when we go through the epistles in my class is when St. Paul is talking about all the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Many of them sound kind of amazing and flashy to us now, prophecy, speaking with tongues, healing, and that kind of thing. But at the end, he says, he gives this beautiful praise of charity. And at the end, he says, the greatest of all these is charity. So it's all the other gifts, everything else that that you might have or not have pales before love for one another. And that's a gift that is available to every single person. It's available to them, and it is in itself a giving. So it's something that you are given and something that you are, it doesn't really exist unless you give it, you know? So that always strikes me and reminds me that it's not about necessarily about the obvious handicrafts or artistic skills. It might just be your gift for your capacity to love, to show it, to treat other people with kindness. Sometimes I remember being very struck when I was reading one of C.S. Lewis's books, in which he points out that one of the things that we are most stingy with, and which everyone has, is time. So, you know, what this goes along with the previous or the earlier question about giving. I think sometimes people could be thinking, well, I don't have anything to give. Everybody has something to give. So whether you're going to talk about talents or giving alms, there is always something someone can do, even if it isn't money in the case of alms or some obvious artistic skill in the case of talents. Everyone can pray. Everyone can show love and kindness. Everyone can give time. And, you know, so everyone has the capacity to contribute something. And when you do, God multiplies it. And I don't want to take up too much more time, but
that's okay.
One thing that I was really struck by in one of the commentaries when we were reading about the parable of the talents was that, you know, sometimes people could think that it's unfair that one person just got one, or, you know, the one person just got two, whereas the other one got five. But in the commentary, I think it was St. Theophylact who said that when it comes to spiritual gifts, God fills up whatever size vessel we bring to him. So it depends on how open we are to receiving the gift, how willing we are to cultivate what is given, and the more willing we are and the more we strive, in a sense, the larger vessel we bring to God, and therefore the larger gift he gives. So it's not about God being unfair or there being any kind of favoritism in that. It's actually down to us what kind of a vessel we bring to God in which he can put his gifts. So it's a dynamic relationship you can see between God and man.
Yeah, very good. Well, everybody, now it is your turn to ask questions. So go to ask@spots.edu to email us a question. Now, while those questions are coming in, I'd like you to try the raspberry tea and tell us what you thought of it.
Thank you.
And also, everybody, remember to go to spots.edu/teatime to give a gift.
It's good, thank you.
Yeah, it's actually what. Do you remember what? Oh wait, we didn't have tea last time.
No,
last time you were on the
snuck
show,
coffee up
we had
on
San
you last
Ignacio
time.
coffee. It was a surprise. Actually, if you all want to watch that episode again, Misconceptions About Nuns with Mother Praxia, she surprised me. She came out of nowhere and did the old switcheroo and gave us to drink coffee instead of tea on that episode. But I was actually very happy too. It was very good coffee. Okay, everybody. So the questions are coming in, and here's one right here. All right. So someone wants to know on the internet, how do monastics give alms if they don't own anything?
That's a good question. Well, as I said before, it's not all about giving material things. Everyone has something that they can give, and one of the things that monastics are supposed to do is pray for the world. And prayer is a big part of, it should be a big part of every Christian's life, but it is extremely important in monastic life. And so we pray for the world. People send us request for prayer, so that's one way. But we also do actually contribute as a like in our case, as the convent as a whole contributes to various charitable organizations. It's just that as individuals, we may not own anything. I don't have money, so I'm not going to be giving money to someone, but the convent altogether, with Mother's blessing, will actually give alms in the way that we're used to thinking about it. But we also have run a Meals on Wheels program, or just, when we run into somebody who needs help, then we try to help them out. So it depends on the situation, but just because we're monastics doesn't mean that we can't. It's just, it might look a little bit different. And also because our convent does a lot of different kinds of handicraft, and we have sewn or painted various things for churches and parishes, sometimes depending on the situation, either at a discount, or we will donate them to certain needy parishes or churches, although we can't do that all the time because that's how we support ourselves. But in various ways, it is possible. It's just that we wouldn't personally have money to give, but that doesn't mean that we don't have other ways that we can give alms.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's another question too, but I think this is it's basically kind of the same question, but it's sort of worded a bit differently. So if you're just a lay person and you really have nothing to give, what are some good substitutes?
Well, praying for people is a good one. But it's also, like I said before, time. Most people do have, even if it's just a few minutes, to help somebody out. Or, if you're in a parish setting, maybe you can help clean the church, or maybe you can help drive somebody who can't get there. Or, are there members of the community that are elderly that could use a little help with yard work? There are so many ways you could help, even if you don't have money. So almsgiving isn't just about money. I mean, that's the most obvious and fastest thing we think about, but it also encompasses all the ways that we treat each other with kindness, and put ourselves at other people's service. And you can do that for the church, or you can do that for individuals, but it doesn't always have to be about giving money. You can give time and effort and show care and love in a variety of ways.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now we're going to do one more question from the online audience. It says here in North America, you receive a tax receipt when you give donations. This means that at least one person knows about your alms, and you also benefit from them financially. So does this take away from the blessing you receive from almsgiving?
I don't know. I don't know if you could say that it takes it away. I mean, I would be inclined to think that if you only did it so that you could get that would be unfortunate, because you would perhaps deprive yourself of some of the spiritual benefit that you could get from, sacrificing something for someone else. But I'm not sure it's necessarily, a bad thing that you have that. And when it comes to having someone know about it, it's an interesting aspect of the not letting the right hand know or left hand know what the right hand is doing. That it's more about not doing it for the sake of being seen. It's not that it's such a bad thing for people to see you doing something like giving alms. The problem would be if you're doing it just for that reason. And if people see you give alms, then, the main danger is if you are praised for it. So you have to sort of try to humble yourself and not let it get to your head. But it would not be then the best thing to not give alms because somebody might see you. It would be better to give the alms and then try to humble yourself if you're in danger of getting a big head about it. But when it comes to not letting the one hand know what the other hand is doing, it's more like, don't you pay too much attention to it. You're supposed to sort of, do what you should do and move on, not, pat yourself on the back about it or let yourself get puffed up by it. It's not as much a matter of having to make sure nobody knows what you're doing. So I think that distinction is more important. That as far as, whether it's such a bad thing that you get a benefit from giving or not, I don't think that would necessarily hurt. It's more about the spirit in which you give and the reasons for which you give.
Great. Excellent. Well, thank you for giving us your thoughts there. Now, I'm going to do something right now, Mother Praxia. We did not rehearse this at all. You did not know I was going to do this, but I'm going to give you a gift real quick, right here. So we're going to have you open it on the show in front of the audience.
Oh, that's
and
very
then you'll have
kind
to
of
tell
you.
us what it is.
Okay. This bag looks familiar.
Yes, we'll mention that actually. We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, thank you.
It is an ornament of the Nativity scene, and we got that at Eastern Christian Supply Company, where Mother Praxia actually works at.
I just didn't happen to be there that day.
Yeah. Of course, like I said, the surprise is a little messed up for everybody else, but everybody else who's a guest, they're also going to receive things, and don't be surprised if you also see Eastern Christian Supply materials in those bags, okay? All right, so thank you so much, Mother Praxia.
Thank you.
But right now, we're going to do something really interesting. We are going to have a commercial break. We don't really do this on our live streams, but we're going to do it on this live stream. So everybody, we are going to show you a video of the seminary expansion campaign. Now, of course, if you go outside right now, you can kind of see the foundation has been poured, and we're ready to keep going and expanding this seminary. So everybody, sit back and relax, watch that campaign video, give a gift to spots.edu/teatime, and we'll be right back with another guest who's not Mother Praxia, a different person. Okay.
Without schools, we walk in darkness. The seminary is now embarking on a significant building expansion project to more than double its facility from 10,500 square feet to 26,000 square feet, and hence its capacity to serve the church. The expansion project will make St. Photius Orthodox Theological Seminary a shining light for our parishes and church communities throughout the country and around the world.
It is a blessed activity to learn the gospel, defend the gospel. For a person not to know the love of God, not to know the forgiveness of his sins, not to know the hope of the resurrection, is tragic beyond words. We have many shortages in this world, but the worst one is the famine of the hearing of the Word of God.
There's no question that it has to be done. It is the divine will that this seminary not only exist, but thrive and expand. The light is starting to shine.
If you want the future generations to have parishes with educated and pious priests and parishioners, you need to support them.
This expansion campaign, it's going to benefit everyone. Yes, you come here to learn, to gain knowledge, to form your identity, to grow, but you're also getting spiritual growth. I think that the faculty are getting it as much as the students.
When I wanted to be a seminarian, the first thing several people said was why? So I had to figure that out for myself. It was really to learn my faith. An expansion is necessary for the growth of this institution and for the growth of our faith in this country.
For the first time, I was consistently and long-term for just 3 years in one community, having the services all the time, learning about Orthodoxy, being around Orthodox Christians constantly. It'll be a net gain for everybody.
Room for the books and room for the students to study. This expansion will provide both of those things, which are very, very needed right now. We have so many books that we need to catalog.
Not only do we have a lot more books than we can fit in the current library, the library to come will also have some nice areas where you can just sit and read.
The expansion project is estimated to cost $6 million and will significantly increase the capacity of the seminary to serve more students, from 15 to 50.
We have many students in other countries that want to come and study at the seminary. That's just going to increase the need for more physical space.
It is our duty to hate each other. Leaving us alone will do nothing. My glory to God, my first gratitude go to God Almighty and whoever it is that stand behind us. I appreciate everybody, the Bishop Maximus of St. Photius Theological Seminary.
The expansion project will make St. Photius Orthodox Theological Seminary a shining light for our parishes and church communities throughout the country and around the world. Now, more than ever, we must do our part to be the light of the world, to raise our light and let it shine, being a beacon of truth, faith, hope, and Christian love.
Glory to God! Phase 1 of the expansion project is complete. The foundation is poured. We are ready to move forward with the construction.
18 new dorm rooms, an expanded chapel, a new library, a new larger dining hall, an expanded kitchen, 3 additional classrooms, a spacious new iconography studio, a student lounge and recreational room, office space for faculty and administrators, a separate wing for visiting scholars, an auditorium with the capacity for over 100 people.
If you care about the future of the church, and you want to see the future of the church, then come down to Etna, because then you will see what I experience daily in the halls of the Seminary of St. Photius.
I ask you kindly to do your part by contributing to the expansion of your seminary.
May Christ our God, who arose from the dead, bless each of you who make sacrifices to support our seminary, and multiply your blessings now and unto eternity.
Stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught.
Well, that was the Seminary Expansion Campaign video. Now, you might have noticed that in that video we showed the international students, Father Stephen Tema in Nigeria. Thankfully, and I was blessed to be able to go with Bishop Maximus of Pelagonia on that mission trip to Nigeria when we filmed that. But guess who else went on that trip? That's right, Alexa Bushel, the Communications and Development Director of the Seminary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Timothy. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
It is, and I'm actually very honored that you're on the show today. But of course, you know, when we have a new guest, we have to have tea. And I chose the tea for you. I'm sorry about that.
So, no choice?
Ugh, I didn't have time. We only had 5 minutes. Okay, so the tea today is Earl Grey. I hope you're okay with that.
As long as it's piping hot.
Yes, it is piping hot from what I understand. All right, but I guess we're just going to talk a little bit about why we're having this Tea Time live show. So do you have any questions for me, I guess?
Well, I have a question. You brought up like traveling to Nigeria, and but I understand it hasn't been released yet, but I understand that you've actually filmed Tea Time episodes outside of the United States.
I did, yes. So I've been to Canada and Sweden to film some Tea Time episodes. Now, I also have to mention to the audience right now, when we started this Tea Time show, I thought it was just going to be a show where I interview some people at the seminary so people can get to know them better, right?
Okay.
And
we're not interesting enough?
Oh, well, we are interesting. We are interesting, but we had an interview with, I think in particular it was Mother Praxia, her interview, Misconceptions About Nuns. And some people commented on that video and said that they had questions about monasticism that video actually answered. And we kind of realized that you know, this could be a big thing. We could help answer a lot of questions people have about orthodoxy and the faith, you know. So after that, I started doing some traveling. I went to see Metropolitan Demetrius of America.
Okay.
That was a very well-received interview. We talked about confession. So it was a wonderful thing. Yes, and so then after that, I went around the East Coast, did some traveling there, and then I was sent to Canada to do an interview. You'll see that one eventually. And then I also traveled to Sweden for the ordination of Father Alexander Har. And we also did a few Tea Time episodes there as well. One with Metropolitan Cyprian of Oropos and Phili, who is from Greece, and he actually speaks Greek, so it was an English and Greek episode, very interesting. And then I also interviewed Father Alexander Har, who is the first student at the seminary to be ordained a priest. And it was a very nice interview, and you will see that one, I promise. So,
so how, I mean, well, first of all, like, how does it feel to travel around and sit down with people like Metropolitan Demetrius, Metropolitan Cyprian, you know, and have a cup of tea and ask them questions? Is that, like, are you intimidated? Are you excited? Like, what?
Well, it's a mixture of a lot of things, I think. I actually, every time I do one of those interviews, I feel incredibly, you know, I'm very grateful to have that opportunity, because I'm well aware that Metropolitan Cyprian, Metropolitan Demetrius, they're very busy people. And I'm getting, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours to talk to them But the beautiful thing is that I can talk to them, and what I am receiving, the knowledge I'm receiving, you're also receiving, the audience too. It's not just me, right? So it's really exciting, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity to be able to do that for people and for myself too. Yeah.
So, did you imagine, like 4 years ago, right? You're getting ready to graduate college, and you're thinking like, okay, what am I going to be doing for work? Was this even on like the realm of possibility?
Well, I would say that I always thought the idea of there being podcasts with the people from the GOC would be really interesting, because there's so many interesting people in the GOC whose stories have not been told before. But I didn't think I was going to be the host of that show and record it and put it all together and then release it to the world. I just thought maybe someone else will do it. It'd be kind of cool if they did. But no, it's I didn't think that was going to be it. I went to school for marketing. And if you know, I'm the content marketing specialist for the seminary. That's my official title. But I've been given an opportunity to make a lot of videos, which I really enjoy doing. And there's a lot of meaning behind the work, because I might be making a video for a corporation versus making a video for the seminary and for the church. It's a very different thing. So when the videos do well, it seems more impactful. That it actually means something that these videos are coming out.
So what was your reaction, like the first time one of our videos got 1,000 views?
Oh, well, of course I was excited, right? Usually, if a video does well, I run across the seminary. Well, I shouldn't be running. I walk fast. I walk very fast across the seminary to Alexei's office, and I say, "We just got so-and-so views on this video," right? And then you will respond to say, "Wow, that's great!" And it's a wonderful thing. And we celebrate together. We high five. We do all that.
That's true.
We do actually high five. I'm not kidding. We actually do that. That's usually that was what we used to do when we would get just 1,000 views. But we're so grateful to all of the people out there, because they've been watching our videos, and we've been getting a lot of views on all of our videos recently, which we can only do because of you guys. And I'm still super excited every time I see that. When I see even 100 views, it's like, yes, at least we got the 3 digits.
How about the 300,000 views?
Yes. So there is a public lecture, and also, we have to talk about that too. So it's not just tea time interviews that we're trying to make more of. We're trying to make more public lectures, book reviews. By the way, St. Photios the Great, the inventor of the book review. And that's why we have a book review series. We only have 1 out so far. We hope to have more. But yes, we're trying to make all of these videos. And there was a public lecture that we made kind of a while ago. It was about 2 years ago or so. One of the seminary students made it, or did the presentation. And we had that video on YouTube, which is kind of in the back. And then one day, I'm just kind of curious. I'm like, I wonder how that video is doing. And then it has like 150,000 views. I was like, what happened? So we have many subscribers from India, and because the video was in relation to an Indian topic. So it was, we're very happy to see that. Currently it has about 350,000 views, this public lecture. Maybe a little bit more, but it's, it was, now we talked about how we're high-fiving and we're being excited, but for that video, we didn't even know what to do. We were just like, wow, this is interesting. So.
Well, I think that the numbers are exciting. I mean, yeah, it is. You have to say, like, wow, there's so many people that are interested, that are choosing to engage with this content, instead of, watching funny cat videos, or, I mean, not that I have anything against.
No, it's cat videos are great.
but still, like, the numbers are exciting. But I've really found it moving to read some of the comments that people leave. You mentioned the tea time with Metropolitan Demetrius about the topic of confession, and like what confession is and how to properly approach it, the impact that can have. Why it's so important. And people's response is really moving. And that's both from the comments that people leave on the YouTube channel, but also, you know, I have the privilege of traveling around the country, and often people are like, when's the next Tea Time episode coming out? Like, that's one of the things that they're really excited, or they're expressing how much, you know, a question that they've had or didn't even realize that they had was answered. So I don't know, do you have that experience when you travel, or
yeah, when I travel,
you're reviewing the comments?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would see some comments that said that a lot of their questions were answered about certain things. Another thing people I've heard say about the show, they've said that, well, for example, the Metropolitan Demetrius interview, they said they saw Metropolitan Demetrius in a different light that they don't typically see him in. And it was, for them, it was refreshing. And I guess in some ways they related to it a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And if you know, for the Tea Time show, this is sort of it's the more casual show that we have. The public lecture is a bit more formal. And when we made the show, we wanted this to be a bit more kind of for the everyday man, you know, so, like myself. That's why I'm the host, I guess, because, but anyway, but yes, but we want to make this show a show that's accessible to everybody. And we want all of our content to be accessible to all kinds of different people, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Well, that sort of leads me into a thought that I've had preparing, you know, getting ready for this Tea Time Live event and the Giving Tuesday fundraiser, is how this all started, right? So we reached out over 3 years ago to raise money to purchase equipment to have a YouTube channel, and it was about just over 50 families responded, and you know, our scope that we thought we would be doing is just people in our parishes would be able to, or you know, supporters of the seminary would be able to participate and watch some of the lectures that had been going on at the seminary, but I don't think anybody imagined how large the presence of the seminary would grow on the internet, how many people are able to interact with the content of the seminary. So it's really humbling to know that, you know, a small group of people, I think we raised just over $7,000, right, to start this initiative, and it's grown so much. So I'm so grateful to everyone that sort of had the vision and the faith that this was something worth investing in.
Yes.
So.
Yes, we definitely want people, we want people to see what's happening here at the seminary, and we want people to sort of get a taste of the things you can learn at the seminary, especially with the public lectures. I mean, the public lectures, those are great examples of things that you can learn about here at the seminary, and we can expand upon it, and you can become a student, all those things. So we want to give you a taste of that on this YouTube channel.
So public lectures, right? Those happen pretty quickly in terms of if they're live streamed, right? Then they're out there. But I'm curious. Typically, tea times are recorded.
Yes.
And then you what happens after the interview's done? Can you sort of walk me through the process?
Oh, when the interview is finished. So, well, we complete the interview, and of course I say thank you to the person I was talking to.
and cheers.
And cheers, we always say cheers. And then I bring the footage back to the seminary, and we put them together, right? Now the episodes are pretty long. They could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 50 minutes, right? And you know, it takes time to put these together. Sometimes it takes a few days, and of course we have many projects going on here at the seminary. I mean, we just talked about the seminary expansion campaign. And so it takes a lot of time to put these together. So I would say, yeah, with the video, I'll put it together in a few days, we'll have it reviewed, and then we'll send it out to the world, and then we hope people will enjoy it, and we'll get something good out of it, you know.
So how many videos do you have in your backlog?
My backlog?
How many, yeah,
oh.
what's your tea time backlog? Because
all right, so
I'm honestly lost track
yeah.
at this point. So.
Okay, so as we mentioned, we're doing a lot of traveling and recording these little tea time episodes. And other things too, not just tea time episodes. And so I believe I have about 6 to 7 interviews that we haven't released yet. But I promise we will. I promise we will. And they're pretty good. And actually, I'm not just saying this to try to hype them up too much, but They are pretty good. The people who we interview are really good. I really am excited for you to see the people we interviewed. Like, there's one in particular that's really energetic, and you'll see when you watch it, and you'll know that that was the one I was talking about. So, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about some of your other projects? So, you know, public lectures, you've done some sort of interviews, you've helped make, you know, fundraising appeal videos, like last year's story about Brother Nathan and his journey, and the St. Melanie's House appeals. What are other projects that you're able to work on?
Well, we also do explanation videos. For example, there is a video with Father Patapios, who's an archimandrite here. He did a video where he talked about the Great Canon. It was an explanation of what the Great Canon was, or is, sorry. And I really liked that video because I feel like in some ways that kind of a video is a great example of why we have the YouTube channel. It's you know, tidbits of knowledge about the Orthodox Church that can be difficult to find in video form. You know, it might be, I mean, for example, the misconceptions about nuns, I'm going back to that one, the Tea Time episode. You'll find videos about misconceptions about nuns, but they're very difficult to find, and you typically won't find them about from the Orthodox Christian perspective.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, like explanation videos, public lectures, as we mentioned, tea time interviews, mini documentaries too, and long documentaries as well, and of course advertisements for the school and letting people know about the events that are going to occur, which many events are going to occur. So we'll be making content about that as well.
So I hope I'm not going to ruin the surprise, but there's going to be a documentary release pretty soon, right?
Yes, there is going to be a documentary. You'll see something on this live stream very soon about that documentary. It's about a convent in Bluffton, Alberta, which is in Canada. But you'll see something for that very soon. But you have to keep moving on, though. It is Tea Time Live. So would you like to add anything before we go on to our
Well,
next
I
guest?
think before we move on to the next guests, I want to take an opportunity to thank you for the work that you're doing, and I want to invite everybody to support the seminary's work, and specifically your work on behalf of the seminary and the media efforts. Truly, Timothy probably will be upset with me, but the truth is, Timothy is an extremely talented young man, and the seminary is really blessed that he's chosen to, you know, offer his talents and his skill sets and his passion of serving the church and in this capacity, and, you know, capturing this content and these conversations and making it available to a much wider audience. You know, I sometimes get jealous when I hear who you're going to be sitting down with and talking with, and then I say, oh, hold on. Like, I'm actually going to be able to listen to this, as will all of you. So I want to take the opportunity to ask for your support to where we continue build on this foundation, virtual, electronic foundation, but nevertheless. And right now we have a pledged gift of up to $25,000 to match your donation dollar for dollar. So please make a gift. It's a worthy cause. Your support will help Timothy and Father Vlasi, our IT manager, invest in more equipment. I mean, you can never have too much equipment. I think there's nodding in the back. Yep, there's nodding in the back.
Yeah.
It'll help with travel costs, but it will also help with paying Timothy a salary. This, you know, you've chosen to make this your career. Like, you're doing this as a professional, and it does require a lot of time, a lot of focus and energy that I don't think you'd be able to do the things you're doing and create the content that you're creating for the glory of God if this was a hobby, right? But that's only possible due to the generous support of viewers like you and people that have supported the seminary with all its different things. So, you know, thank you, and thank all of you that give a gift and support the seminary this initiative. So,
thank you. And having said that, go to spots.edu/teatime to give a gift today. All right. Also, can you drink the tea? Because we forgot to have you drink the tea here.
Oh,
you have to tell us how it is. It's very important. This is Earl Grey, for anyone who's wondering.
fantastic.
Oh, very good. And one more thing too. So Mother Praxia, we gave her a gift, right? You thought you weren't going to get one. Well, you were wrong. You were getting one too. Okay.
Okay.
Father Alexander from Sweden, I hope you're watching this episode because you're about to see something here that you're familiar with. Yeah. So this is a gift from Sweden. This is a fika set.
A fika set?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, and I apologize to all the Swede people, the Swedish people, if I get this wrong, but from what I understand,
there's
fika,
even flags on the inside.
Swedish flags, yeah.
Very nice.
From what I understand, fika is basically the Swedish version of tea time, where you have coffee and you have pastries, and it's kind of like a snack time.
And there's two.
And there's two, one for your wife. This is a married man after all. So yes, so this is a Swedish fika set. I hope you have great fika in the future. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so everybody, at this point, you might have noticed we talked about a trailer for a convent documentary called The Little Convent, about a convent in Bluffton, Alberta. Well, everybody, you are going to see a trailer for that right now. Now, I want to tell you right now, after that trailer's done, we're going to have not one guest up here, but two. What? See you after the trailer.
To our most respected, deeply respected, and dearest Father in Christ, Your Eminence Bishop Maximus, I ask for your holy blessing. I so vividly remember my first winters here in Alberta, alone with my mother. I must confess that I was often oppressed by the haunting thoughts, will we be able to pull through here? Will new sisters ever join us? I cannot tell you how my heart rejoices that we have a community of sisters living and struggling here together in the monastic life, united, a spiritual family. And ask our Lord to grant that we may always be in this holy place, in this little convent.
Wow, okay, so that is the Little Convent trailer in Canada. And the guest to my left right now actually knows a lot about that convent in Canada because she's from Canada. This is Tatiana Snegirev, who is a student here at the seminary. And this is Pedro Petrenko, who is also a student here at the seminary, but he's from Brazil. So very, very different parts of the world. I love how we have America, Canada, and Brazil right now. Isn't that fun? So, yeah, and I love, Tatiana, how you wore the red and green. You know, the Christmas time thing, that's really nice too. So, okay.
Yeah, I didn't have many options.
Yeah, you had to wear the rasa. Yes, there we go. So, okay, all right, so everybody, we're gonna ask a couple of questions here. But before I start asking you all the questions, I have to make sure that everybody knows that you can also ask questions to these guests as well. Sorry. ask@spots.edu. So if you email at ask.spots.edu, you can ask these two a question as well. Okay, all right, are you both ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
But before we start, what do we usually do on tea time?
Drink tea.
Yes. So once again, I selected what you were going to drink before we started. You're going to be drinking green tea today. Okay, and I'm going to pour that for you.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy it. All right.
Love green tea.
So first question. what are some traditions your families have on St. Nicholas Day or Christmas? And I thought this might be interesting because you're from Canada and you're from Brazil. Maybe some of your traditions are different. And even if they're not, it'd be interesting to see that you also do the same thing in Brazil. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, Pedro.
Of course. So in Brazil, it's interesting, this question, because it's one of my favorite and busiest day of the year, St. Nicholas.
Ah.
So what happens is that there are 3 churches in Brazil, in São Paulo, that have weekly service, and one of these churches is dedicated to St. Nicholas. So in this very day, all the community in São Paulo gather together to celebrate the memory of St. Nicholas. And there's a hierarchical service, a lot of people attend, there's a huge choir, it's very beautiful service. We do the processions, and after that we do the moleben for St. Nicholas, asking his prayers for God, and also thanking him for the year that has just come to an end. And after that, they offer a meal for the people who attend the service. But my family have a different schedule. We don't stay for the meal. So what happens that we go to a different event where we visit a Serbian family who celebrate their Slava. So Slava is, in Brazil we have just this Serbian family, 2 Serbian families who celebrate the Slava. And it's interesting because they don't celebrate that much their names day, but they celebrate the patron saint of the family, who is St. Nicholas. And it's a beautiful service that, you know, all the services in the Orthodox Church have a lot of symbolisms. And this one, this tiny service called Slava, it's beautiful because at the end, we go around, we hug people and do the 3 traditional kisses, and we say the words, Christos posreди nas, and the other person answer, yes, jest I будет. And Christos posreди nas means God is in our midst, and jest I будет means he is and shall be. So it shows that how the family is united, is in peace, and how they are always considering God, considering Christ in their midst. So it's a very beautiful symbolism. And also, a very interesting thing is at the very end of this service, the patriarch of the family, he stands up and he says some kind words, saying kindful and thankful words to the family, saying how great was the year that has just come to an end. Thanking St. Nicholas for all the blessings that he have granted to the family. And for me, it's one of beautiful, beautiful event because it shows how the family is united and considering God, and remember that St. Nicholas is taking care of them too, praying to God for them. But also it's very interesting because I'm here for just 3 months, and they're very excited to see how is St. Nicholas Day celebrated here in Etna.
Yeah, on this show. Yeah, actually here in Etna, we have a St. Nicholas Day celebration. It's really nice, a tradition. Oh, you've experienced it before.
I have.
Yeah, we go around and we give, pretty much everybody in the Etna Orthodox community gets a gift. You know, big gift, small gift, but we all do it together in the spirit of St. Nicholas, you know. And so I'm actually very excited for you to experience that.
I'm excited too.
Yeah, and last week you experienced American Thanksgiving for the very first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
It's wonderful. It was a very grateful. I was grateful to be here and to enjoy this wonderful weekend with this Orthodox community here in Etna. It was very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
For
very much. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, and Tatiana, you're Canadian, so so we have American Thanksgiving. What are your thoughts on American Thanksgiving?
I love American Thanksgiving. I think it's really fun. In Canada, we don't really, well, we have Thanksgiving, but I don't know, maybe it was just my family. We didn't really celebrate it growing up. It was kind of just a day to sleep in. No school, no work, you know. But when I came to America, it was really nice because it was so like, it was such a big event for everyone around. So everyone's getting ready, and it really shows this whole huge family dynamic with Thanksgiving, you know. Everyone comes together and everyone's cooking and preparing the dining hall.
And the food's so good too.
Food is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. So I really like it, and it's really nice because we have the fun traditions out here in Etna where we have the big meal together as a community, and then after, everyone dresses in their, you know, cozy Thanksgiving-y clothes, and we all either go up the mountain to hang out, or we end up going to Theodore and Vasily's house and just playing games and just enjoying each other's company and sharing what we're thankful for. And I think it's a very Christian thing to be doing.
Yes, actually, Thanksgiving is my favorite, secular holiday, because it's actually like the most Christian of all of the secular holidays. I mean, you can debate me on that if you want, audience, but that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. So, all right. Well, but Christmas, we have to talk about Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas traditions. What are some that you've experienced that you'd like to share?
Growing up back home in Canada, so I am a convert, so growing up as an old believer, we would always have like really long church services during the night. So the boys and dad would get dressed for church at like 3 in the morning and go to church, and I'd always convince mom to let me stay home and help her cook. It was mostly mama cooking. I would make mashed potatoes and then cheesecake and hit the couch and take a snooze. And it was really great because I remember being a kid and just like being in this warm house that smells like turkey and ham, and it's warm, it's cozy. I hear my mama in the kitchen working hard, and there's something that was really comforting about it. So I always loved that. And after, when everyone comes home from church, we would all do our prayers, have a big meal together. My brothers and my sister and I, we would always be making jokes for hours at the table. Mom would sneak off to take a nap because we're still making jokes. And later on, we all would open presents together, and we would just play board games, and it was just always a really nice family experience. And I'm excited. I'm finally going home for Christmas, and I'll get to have that experience again with my family after, I don't know, it might have been like 5 years since the whole family was together for something big like that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I can tell you're all excited, but I'm going to ask another question that we did write down, but I think it is a fun one too. What are your favorite saint stories about giving and gratitude that you would like to share? And I guess we'll start with you, Pedro. A saint story that resonates with you about giving and gratitude.
Actually, there's a saint that I came to know very recently, which is St. John the Merciful. We celebrated his day last Saturday, and I was reading his story, and it's a very beautiful one. And he was born in Alexandria from a very wealthy family, and he had a dream when he was very young, and the dream was that he saw a very beautiful woman dressed in beautiful vestments, and she told him that her name was Compassion, and she is God's oldest daughter. And he guarded this in his heart and lived his life showing compassion to other people. And well, eventually he got married, he had children, and sadly all his family died. And he, instead of turning the back to God and being angry about it, he became a monk, he became a bishop, and eventually he became the patriarch of Alexandria. And it's very beautiful because now in such a position he started to help in a large scale people. So the very first thing that he made was a huge list of all the people in need of Alexandria. And then he helped weekly with food, with clothes, with money, all these people. So it's very beautiful action. And a specific story about him is that one day a rich man gave a gift to St. John, and it was a bed covering, very expensive one. And he was, he accepted the gift, and he was very grateful for this, but he couldn't sleep because this gift was, he could sell the gift and give to the poor. Why am I having this expensive gift if I could have do something with it? And then he decided to sell it. And this rich man came to know that the bishop was selling, and he bought the article again, and he gifted the bishop again, the same thing. And then bishop say, okay, thank you very much. And he did the same thing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And he said, well, let's see who is going to give up first. And obviously it was not St. John. So that's beautiful because he kept in his heart this feeling that compassion is the oldest daughter, God's oldest daughter. So he lived his life considering this and giving everything that he could to the poor, living his life to the other, which I think is the Orthodox way of living. It's beautiful story.
Great story. Now, Tatiana, you have to have a story as well. Now, remember, it is not a competition. We love all of the saint stories. But what's one of your favorite saint stories about giving and gratitude?
I think that, you know, all of the saints give alms and have gratitude because, you know, they, first and foremost, they live to fulfill the commands by God to love God and to love your neighbor. And I see it in all the saints' lives. And, you know, St. Xenia of St. Petersburg, she, by giving alms, like Mother Praxia said, you don't necessarily have to give alms through giving money or necessarily gifts. St. Xenia, she, you know, at nighttime, she would help the construction workers build what they were building, and she would bring the bricks over and make sure that their workload wasn't as hard as it would be if she hadn't been helping. But I think my favorite saint story for gratitude would be Prophet Job. I think, you know, he's such a big inspiration to me every single day. You know, Prophet Job, he had everything. He had a beautiful family, a beautiful wife, he was wealthy, and then all of a sudden, he had none of that. Everything that he had, you know, his health was gone, he lost his wife, lost his kids, lost his farmland and his servants, and he lost everything. And yet, at the end of the day, he still fell down to the ground and praised God and thanked him because he was grateful to even have the opportunity to have even a glimpse of that in his life. And I think it's a huge, huge inspiration for me because, you know, we're always going through hardships, and I always look at Prophet Job and think, glory to God for all things. Because,
yes.
Yeah.
You know, obviously people do know about the Prophet Job, but I've always felt that that story in the Bible is underrated. It's not
So
talked
underrated.
about enough because it
Yeah.
is really, it truly is a great one.
Yeah, it helps,
truly is.
helps you get through life a lot easier.
Very much so. Well, I want to remind the audience, go to ask@spots.edu to ask a question of your own to these two right here. And also to give a gift at spots.edu/teatime. All right, now I'm going to ask you another question. Okay, this one is very, very difficult. Are you ready? What has being a student at the seminary given both of you? We'll start with you, Pedro.
Well, I got a lot of things being a seminarian, and you know, I'm Orthodox from the cradle. My father is a priest, so I was born in Orthodoxy. I have a huge background in Orthodoxy, but every class I started here, patristics, dogmatics, ecclesiology, New, Old Testament, I came to know that I know so little about my faith and how grateful I am to be here and to be able to learn more and to understand that even though I am learning things, it's like an unending source of knowledge and understanding. So it's beautiful. I'm very grateful for that. And also the second thing that I'm grateful is for all the people who make it happen. So I'm thankful for you, Tim. I'm thankful for the staff. I'm thankful for His Eminence, Bishop Maximus, Bishop Maximus, all the people who makes this come true, to the people who are supporting me, who pray for me, who help me to be here, which wouldn't be able to be here without this such a support, such care that these people have for me. So it makes, coming to the seminary makes me understand that a lot of people care, a lot of people loves me, and every single day I wake up, I think I should be more grateful for this. So that's one of the beautiful things that I received from being a seminarian and coming to the seminary.
I've said this a bunch of times on the show already, but we are very thankful that you're here. And shout out to Brazil, by the way, Orthodox community out there. Now, before we go back to you, Tatiana, for you to answer that question, I just want to say real quick, I accidentally said go to ask@spots.edu. It's email at ask@spots.edu to ask your question to these two here. Okay, so Tatiana, what has the seminary given you?
I have a long answer.
That's okay. As long as you're fine with it, we'll be doing.
We have tea, no problem.
Yeah, you have tea. You can just drink the tea.
The seminary has given me a lot. I guess to give some background, I am a convert, so that's one thing that's helped me a lot in coming to seminary, is teaching me about the faith. And, you know, even though I grew up in the Russian Old Believers, and I grew up with all of the, you know, traditions of Orthodoxy, I never knew what they really meant because I wasn't really taught. I don't know if maybe it was just me, but that was my experience. So coming to seminary has helped show me, you know, why we do what we do, and it's explained what it means to be Orthodox and how to really be Orthodox at the heart, you know, and to practice your faith. And so that's one thing that's been really helpful. Instead of, you know, slowly learning, being at my parish after being a convert, you know, I get to just dive right in and learn every single day, all day. It's like, you know, 6 hours of sermons every day. And seminary has also, you know, when I first got here, I was only 22, and I'd already been independent for a couple of years. I thought, yeah, I got this. I'm an adult. I know what I'm doing. Nope.
Yeah, everyone finds that
Absolutely
out.
not the case.
Yeah.
So I always call them growing pains, because when you're changing and you're, you know, having to become better, it's not always the most comfortable process. But I'm grateful that I went through as many changes for my life, for my soul, with such a great support system. Being at the seminary, the whole community, everyone here is wonderful. It's like a big family. And I definitely don't think I would have been able to grow and be formed in the most Orthodox manner possible had I not been here, growing up and growing here with everyone. And, you know, I'm grateful I get to hang out with the nuns all the time and the monks and the whole community. And it's just, it kind of feels a little bit like a dream. And then also the fact that we're surrounded by beauty and all these mountains and everything.
Doesn't hurt, definitely.
It really does not hurt. I like beauty, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm grateful that seminary has really been forming me into who I'm supposed to be in the most Christian way possible. So.
Well, I said this to Pedro, and I have to say it to you too. We are very thankful that you are here.
Thank you. I'm grateful too.
And shout out to the Edmonton Church, St. Vladimir's, correct?
Yeah, St. Vladimir's.
St. Vladimir's, wonderful church. I have been there before.
Facts.
So, okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to have questions from the live audience. But while those questions are coming in, we're going to have you try some of this tea, and you're going to tell me what you think of it. I think you already tried it.
I almost
so
finished.
You can try it again.
He went for it.
Yeah. Also, too, I want everyone to know while you're tasting this, at the very end of the show, I'm going to be announcing how much we raised today. This is really exciting stuff, guys. So,
yes.
Okay, so what do you think of the tea?
I love green tea, so this is really good.
Green tea is pretty great. I mean,
so good.
I like, personally,
too.
yeah, I like green tea, raspberry tea, which we served to Mother Praxia. We actually ran out of raspberry tea, which is very sad, but we do have plenty of green tea. Would you like the tea?
Yeah, I actually learned how to drink tea here because I used to drink a lot of coffee back home. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was it San Ignacio coffee that you were drinking?
What do you mean?
Was San Ignacio coffee the coffee that you like to drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it is. It really is. It really is. It's a great coffee. Okay. All right. So we have some questions from the live audience. Are you guys ready for this? Okay. So this one, it's a nice question. It's, what is the easiest part of being a seminarian? And we'll start with you, Pedro.
The easiest part of being a seminarian, I think, is to enjoy the Orthodox life daily. We are surrounded by Orthodox people, going to the service twice a week, which is very nice. I don't know if twice is a word.
Thrice, 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
3 times a week. 3 times a week. Yeah. So it's wonderful to live this Orthodox environment, to have classes about Orthodoxy, to talk with my friends about Orthodoxy. So this is the easiest part. Like I don't even have to think about. It's just daily basis thing. Yeah, it's very nice.
And how about you, Tatiana?
I'd say the never-ending laughter and joy. Like even in the midst of, you know, the getting ready for exams and all the stress and, you know, conflict of personalities that can happen, like every single day I'm probably crying laughing because I'm having such a wonderful time with so many beautiful people. I think it's just easy to be happy here.
I would agree. It's very nice here.
Kind of.
I actually really like it. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Pedro, this is a question specifically to you, actually.
Oh.
All right, here you go. You have experience with being an online student exclusively.
Yes.
Beforehand, Pedro was an online student, but now he is here at the seminary. And now you are attending in person. What can you share with people like you who are overseas in different countries thinking about attending the seminary? Why should they take that next step of going to the seminary?
Well, coming to seminary is absolutely turning page. So when you are having classes in your house, like sitting in the chair where you always be sitting on, it's cool because we are comfortable. But coming here is absolutely different. You, as I said, you are able to experience the Orthodox life in a way you cannot do in a parish in the middle of the city. So we are next to the monastery, next to the convent. We are experiencing being around monks and nuns all the time. So this kind of experience, attending service more often than usual in the parish, and having the classes, being able to participate more, it's absolutely different. I really encourage people to come and to, make this a struggle to come here and study in person. It's very important.
Yes. Now, Tatiana, you actually were not an online student, but you did come from a long distance, Canada, another country. Is Edna different, would you say, from where you used to be? And why did you decide to make that next step?
Ooh. Well, Etna's very different because back home I was living in the city. I didn't grow up in the city. I'm from way out in the country. But, at the time I was living in the city. I love my home parish, St. Vladimir's.
Shout out again. Yeah. Also Brazil, yes.
And I love the convent in Bluffton. They're like, all of them are my family, for sure. And, out here, it's the same family dynamic. Like, I love everyone here as much as I love everyone back home. But I think the difference here is that I have a lot more people my age. Back home, there are only maybe a handful of people my age, no one directly, in their mid-20s. But it's nice that out here, instead of being surrounded by the city life of the crazy secular world, and it's so distracting, and it's much harder to focus on your spiritual life. Whereas out here, we're in a small town surrounded by the mountains. We have a convent 10 minutes down the road, a monastery like 3 minutes down the road, and the seminary in the middle. That really helps kind of just solidify the spiritual aspect of everything. It makes it easier to, keep your head in the game, so to say. Exactly. You focus better because you're directly engulfed in it. And I really like that about Etna. But, yeah.
And this next question, pretty easy. Or maybe it's hard, we'll see. This is the next one. So, do you have a favorite class this term? I know you like many of the classes, but do you have a favorite one? Or one in particular that kind of stands out to you? And we'll start with Tatiana on that one.
Okay, I might be biased because I want to become an iconographer, but I really like iconography. I'm in my last year of the certificate program right now, and I have a few commissions that I'm working on, and it's been helpful because I feel like I'm already starting my career, so to say, outside of seminary, so then I get to do that while being here, and I get to hang out with the nuns all the time again, and I really like iconography, but I think maybe second to that would be Old Testament, because Dr. Dimitri, he loves what he teaches. So he's very enthusiastic, and his enthusiasm really just draws you in, and it engages you, it keeps you interested, and then you're learning all of these things about the Old Testament that you never would have thought of had you just, read about it. So I'd say those two.
There's something about going to Dr. Dimitri's class. You can tell he loves talking about the Old Testament.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure everyone who teaches here loves what they're teaching, but Dr. Dimitri's like another level. Like he loves this stuff.
Yeah.
And you can tell. Yeah. So okay. But Pedro, how about you? Favorite class this term?
Well, since she already picked up the Old Testament class, I'll have to mention history of philosophy, with
Oh,
Bishop
yeah.
Maximus. This
Also
class
really
is
good.
absolutely amazing. It's, as I said, it opened a door that I have never thought about, that it's matching philosophy with things that we learn in a secular high school or secular school in general, and bringing to Orthodox in a way that I have never thought to understand. So the way Bishop Maximus can talk about any subject in a deep level, it's so amazing, so immersive. I'm always exciting to have another class with him on history of philosophy.
Yes, Bishop Maximus is
Yeah.
great, as are all of the instructors here, professors here. They're all really amazing people.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what I'm going to do now? What did I do with the previous people at the very end of their
Gifts.
I give gifts. And you know who else can give gifts? You at spas.edu/tea time. Yes, so I'm going to go grab those gifts real quick. They're on the other side of the room. I'm going to go get that. And here they are. Okay, you're going to have to tell us what you think of these.
It's blue.
It is blue, yes.
Matching.
Yes, they actually are the same thing.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
And if you can tell the audience what these are.
These are holy water containers.
Holy water bottles.
Holy
And it has an
water
icon of the Theotokos with Christ on it, which is fitting because we have Christmas time is coming up.
Yeah.
So, wonderful thing. So I want to say
you.
thank you so much for coming on to the show, you two. Now, what's going to happen now is we are going to transition to a video that both of you are in. All right? Do you remember what this video is?
Yes.
So we made a What We're Thankful For video right before Thanksgiving. And these two are in that video. So you're going to see that real quick. But when you come back, you're going to have a new guest. Now you're thinking to yourself, all right, we had a nun, we had Alexa Bushel, and then we had these two students. What more can we do? Well, we can have a bishop on this show. All right, everybody, what we're thankful for. Watch this video.
Hello, my name is Maria Goodman. I'm thankful for my family, friends that I've made here at seminary. I'm thankful for my church and all that I've been given, the blessings I've been given.
Hello, my name is Alexa Bushel, and I'm grateful for their love and their example and their support. And then I'm grateful to God for seminary and for everyone that makes it possible for me to study here.
I'm Pedro. First of all, glory to God for all things, for His good and His mercy endure forever. I'm thankful for my family who loves me and is encouraging me to be here. Thankful for my girlfriend because she loves me and she is always helping me in my daily struggles. I'm thankful for my friends, and I'm very thankful for those who are supporting me by donations or prayers, making my dream of studying at the seminary come true.
Hi, my name is Presbytera Marie Telefnev, and I am very grateful for the love and support of my spiritual family.
Hello, my name is Timothy Schenone, and I am thankful for all the supporters of the seminary. Of course, I want to thank God as well. I want to thank my family and the
Hi, I'm Father George Mavromatis, and I am thankful for the Orthodox community in Etna, especially the good people to be around and to be friends with.
Hello, my name is Father Protapius. I'm the Dean of the Seminary. Very thankful to be able to serve the seminary as Dean and also as a Professor. And it's a great blessing, and thankful for all the support and love that surround all of us at the seminary.
Hello, my name is Georgia Fotopoulos, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to study here at the seminary and for all the supporters and donors who make it possible.
Hello, I'm Ashling, and I am thankful for family.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I am thankful this year for the many, many prayers from people around the world who helped with the health and growth of my family, and I'm especially thankful for my new husband.
Hello, my name is Alexa Bushel, and I'm thankful for the registrar, my wife. Yay!
Hi, my name is Tatiana Snegarov, and for all the opportunities that God has given me in my life, the hardships, the growth, people in my life, the seminary, and everyone who has supported me.
Hello, my name is Fotini Bouladakis. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come to the seminary. I'm thankful for the support and the prayers of my home parish and of my family.
My name is Simeon von Henke. I would like to begin by thanking my family, specifically my parents, my mother and father, who have helped me all the way through life and have helped me to reach here, the seminary. And at the seminary, I would like to thank people who I have met here who have impacted my life in a very positive way.
Hello, my name is Esther, and I am thankful for my family, my parents for raising me Orthodox, for my siblings, my goddaughter, all of my spiritual.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dimitrios Alibertis, and I am grateful for the monastic communities here in Etna and for the overall Orthodox community of Etna. I am grateful for their love, for their generosity, and I'm also grateful for my family back home in Toronto and New York.
And last but not least, I would like to thank you, dear viewer, for watching this video.
Well, we just want to talk about how we are very thankful for you, and you saw that in that video. Now, you will notice to my right, actually the camera's here. okay, so now he's still to my right. There we go. Okay, to my right is His Grace Bishop Maximus of Pelagonia. He's been on this show many times. He's been on the Tea Time show. He's been on the YouTube channel many times. And Your Grace, you spoke to Dr. John Vervaeke in a series of videos. Oh, those are great. Emergence and emanation was the topic of those videos. So that was wonderful, and we're so glad to have you again on here at the show today. We talked about you actually a little bit, and Pedro mentioned how he really liked your history of philosophy class. So Pedro, thank you for saying that. Okay, all right. Your Grace Bishop Maximus, the theme of the show is the gift of giving. So we're going to ask questions related to that. All right.
Very good.
So question number one, why is it necessary for Christians to show gratitude?
I think this is a question that people don't think about very frequently, or at least not frequently enough. We don't realize just how much we owe God, which is in fact literally everything, because He's the creator of everything. And we take it all for granted, and we don't realize that we need to be continually thankful to God and continually show Him gratitude. St. Paul says, πάντοτε χαίρετε, αδιαλείπτως προσεύχεστε, εν παντί ευχαριστείτε. So, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and in everything give thanks. For this is the will of God for you in Jesus Christ. So whenever we have a sense of gratitude, it's like a sense that we've received something and that we are indebted to that person and that we somehow have to pay them back in some sense. Now, of course, there's no way that we can completely pay back God, because God does not need anything. We are in need of things. You know, what shall I render unto the Lord for all that He hath rendered unto me? But if we think first of all about what St. Paul is really trying to get at when he links these three things together, of always rejoicing, of always praying, and of always giving thanks. In other words, this is this is a way to be with God, to participate in the divine life, to always be connected to Him, to always to return back to God, and to have our mind always on the things which are above, and recognizing Him as the source of all, as our benefactor, as the giver of life and the giver of all good things, starting with being itself, with our whole lives, and of course with our eternal salvation. So why should we show gratitude? Because this is how we return to God, through gratitude. And we show it through our prayers and through giving thanks to God, and to the extent that we can in physical acts. So going to church, that's saying our prayers, fasting, giving alms, And by extension, of course, whatever we refer to God, we refer to other people as well. So just as we have to love God and we have to love our neighbor, so we show gratitude to God and we show gratitude to our neighbor, to those people who have benefited us, and to the church as a whole, which is the ark of salvation and which is the means by which we can we attain salvation. So the scope for gratitude is as big as life and the universe itself.
Very true. Now, Your Grace, I am very grateful that you are here, so I'm going to pour you some tea.
Good.
As a way to show my gratitude that you're on the show today. And while you're taking a taste of that tea, I'll ask you the next question, which is, what are some ways people can remain positive and thankful even when they're facing adversity and hardships? Because a lot of people, they're grateful when everything's going well, but when things are not going well, different story sometimes.
Well, that's when it's hard, because that's when your faith is tested, when things are not going well. And that's when you start having doubts, and that's when you start grumbling, and you start saying, well, why is God letting this happen, and why is he doing this, and do I really deserve it? And we start having all these bad thoughts. The key here is to have faith in God and to know that each of us is under his providence, that God has a plan for each person in particular, for the entire world as a whole, but for each one of us in particular, God has a plan. And that whatever circumstances occur in our life, those circumstances occur because of God's plan for us, and that therefore they are for our spiritual benefit. So that if we give thanks to God in difficult circumstances, we are demonstrating our faith towards God, and we are showing that we accept his providence for us. So we are showing humility here. And it allows us to grow spiritually, because through this faith, through this humility, usually this is also going to help us to overcome passions like anger, because usually you get irritated when things aren't going well. But if you're accepting the situation with thankfulness, then you're overcoming the spirit of anger, and you are acquiring peace of soul. So gratitude leads to peace of soul. It leads to interior peace. It leads to a feeling of well-being and knowing that everything is right. It doesn't matter how bad things may seem to be. I am under God's protections. I am under the shelter of his wings, and that everything is going to be okay in the end. And we know that that is the case, because as St. Paul says, that God never puts us into a situation in which there is no escape. There is always an escape and ekvasis. There's always a way out from whatever the difficult situation is. We may not know what that is when when we're in the situation. We see it as it develops. But if we have that absolute faith, that absolute trust in God and his providence, and know that everything is occurring for our spiritual benefit, then we can give thanks to God continually in everything, as St. Paul says, in pandi, not just in the good times, but in the bad times as well. And then it will be for our spiritual benefit and our spiritual growth, and that gratitude will ultimately convert into a complete peace of the soul.
Very good. And Your Grace, what are some things that you are thankful for?
I'm thankful for a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm acutely aware of the fact that to whom more is given, more is required, as our Lord says. I'm thankful, first of all, to God for existing. Sometimes I think about this, how easily I could just not exist. And I suppose I wouldn't be worried about it if I didn't exist. But the fact that I actually do exist, that I'm right here, that I'm thinking, that I'm conscious, it is the greatest gift of all, the gift of being. And of course, in the church, we find well-being, and in salvation in Christ, we find eternal well-being. These are the distinctions that St. Maximus makes. To ine, to evine, to ai evine. Being, well-being, and eternal well-being. But I guess on a more mundane level, I'm thankful most of all to my parents, to my family. I had the blessing of growing up not only in an Orthodox household, but in a priestly household. My father is a priest, and so I grew up entirely within the church. And with piety, you know, so we would fast, we would pray together. I had many advantages in the sense of spiritual talks with my parents. You know, my parents would read the lives of the saints to me and my sister when we were growing up. Almost every single day we would read the lives of the saints. In fact, my father, he was, as I was growing up, he was translating the lives of the saints of Saint Dimitri of Rostov into English. And so he would read these lives of the saints as he was editing them to me and my sister, and we would do that for probably half an hour almost every single day for most of my childhood growing up. And you know, growing up in this family which was religious, pious, where I got explanations for every question that I had, in which we also there's an appreciation for art and for music and for reading, intense reading, and so forth. So it was just a really blessed environment to be in, you know, completely peaceful and generally free of drama. So it was, and now, you know, of course, when you're growing up, you think whatever your situation is, you think that's normal.
Yeah.
And so I took it all for granted growing up, but now that I'm older and I'm out in the world interacting, in fact, with many different, very different circumstances, I realize just how rare that is. And I give thanks to God for that, and to my family for being able to grow into that environment. And then beyond that, you know, I give thanks to God for calling me to the monastic life, and for giving me my Yerunda, Metropolitan Pavlos, and Holy Ascension Monastery, where I became a monk, and then the other spiritual fathers and spiritual guides and spiritual friends that I've had throughout the year. Metropolitan Demetrius, my spiritual father, and Bishop Oxentius here, and our monastery in Guatemala. We have our brotherhood, and I'm so thankful that we have our brotherhood in Guatemala, which we're like a family. And I'm thankful for being part of the seminary here, which has just been an amazing and completely unexpected blessing in my life. To come here and to be able to teach and to be with so many good people and to be with the students, it's just an incredible experience. And now to be able to travel to so many places and to be with different people and to help people in the Orthodox life, even though it can be exhausting, but it's still a blessing, and I'm thankful to God for everything.
Well, Your Grace, you're not here all the time in Etna, of course, because you also mentioned that your monastery is in Guatemala and you go around the world. So when you are here, it is a great blessing, and we're all very so happy. I mean, when I found out you were coming here, I got really excited, and genuinely, I got really excited. So, and it's another bishop. We have Bishop Oxentius here, and then there's another bishop coming. It's always a big deal, you know. I did go with His Grace Bishop Maximus to Nigeria, and I think it's safe to say that when they would greet the bishop, in this case Bishop Maximus, they were very thankful that you were there. They would be celebrating, dancing in the streets, and shouting, "The bishop has come," and everything. That was a wonderful thing.
It really was, especially some of the songs that they composed.
Yeah, they wrote some, so for those who don't know, they wrote songs about Bishop Maximus coming, about Metropolitan Demetrius, and the true Orthodoxy has come to Nigeria. It was a very surreal thing. I think everybody who went on the trip, including Alexa Bushel, who was on this show, they would all say that it was really something special.
It really was special.
It was, yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll have the live audience ask some questions. And remember, email ask@spots.edu to ask your question to Bishop Maximus. He's the last guest on the show, so your last chance to do so. All right. So, Your Grace, last question from me. Why should someone give a gift to the seminary?
Well, there's two reasons, two fundamental reasons, I would say. The first is just for your own soul. In other words, when you give to the seminary, or just in general, when you give to the church, or when you give charity, you are showing your love towards somebody, or most especially towards God. You're showing that you're willing to sacrifice something for the benefit of others, or for the benefit of the church. In this case, for the entire future of the church. And you show that spirit of gratitude that we mentioned, this idea that you've been given something and you have to pay something back. Now, it's not like a mercenary transaction, but it's a sense of love, a feeling of love that wells up within you, that makes you want to return something to God. And then the second would be the practical needs of the seminary. Of course, running a big institution is expensive, and there's everything from the lights to paying the teachers to running these cameras and so forth, and the staff. There's no end to expenses, not to mention the fact that the seminary is trying to expand its facilities. So and in fact the tuition of the students is subsidized because it's lower than what it would be correspondingly either to the expenses of the seminary or compared to other colleges. So there's a tremendous need for people to help out by giving to the seminary. So both from the point of view of what's good for your own soul, and the idea that you show gratitude to God by giving something back, by sacrificing something, and the simple fact of seminary needs money to function and to expand and to do all its programs, which are ultimately for the good of the church and for the long time benefits of the church. I think it becomes pretty obvious why someone needs to, why an Orthodox Christian ought to consider it to be a moral duty to give in general, and specifically why it is important to give to the seminary in particular.
Very good. All right. We're going to have the online audience ask their questions, and while that's happening, Your Grace, can you take a sip of that tea so you can tell us what it's like?
This has been steeping for a while.
Yes, it has.
It's not too strong.
Last time His Grace was on the show, I believe you had pumpkin spice tea, so this is Earl Grey, a little bit different. So we'll see what it's like.
It's better than that tea that you gave me last time.
Yeah, the tea last time wasn't too good, but hopefully this one's good. Okay.
No, this is good.
Yeah, very good. All right, so, this is an interesting one. Okay, so this person is asking, I'm sure that tea is good, but it doesn't compare to San Ignacio coffee. I guess so. How can I order coffee from your monastery?
All right, so this sounds like a setup.
It's a real question. It came in.
Okay, I believe you. So our monastery in Guatemala, the Hermitage of Saint Ignatius, or Ermita de San Ignacio, has a coffee farm attached to it, and part of the obediences of our monastery is to grow coffee, which we then sell primarily in the United States, although you can order internationally now. So we have a website, which is sanignacio.coffee.com, and where anybody can go and they can order online, and the coffee will be in their house and within 2 days. So that's the easiest way to order. Just go online, San Ignacio Coffee, and order as much as you feel that you need. and maybe a little more.
And I've mentioned it before, on this show we have had San Ignacio coffee, even though it is tea time at the seminary. But we can switch it up. We can have different drinks here and there.
We can have coffee time.
Yeah. If we ever do a tea time at the seminary episode again, we'll drink San Ignacio coffee next time. Might as well, right?
It's good. No, it's trying to be as objective as possible. It is very good coffee. It doesn't. It's not quite in the category of gourmet coffee. But it is, let's say, the next category below the gourmet coffee. In other words, superior coffee, because it's grown at about 5,000 feet, which, in general, the higher the altitude that coffee is grown at, the better the coffee, the better the taste, and it's grown in volcanic soil, so it's very high quality coffee, and the price is average for what. You can say for that class of coffee.
It's authentic too, from Guatemala.
Yes.
All right, so here's another question. As a bishop, do you think the seminary education is valuable no matter where you're coming from? Is it just as useful for someone raised in the church as it is for a convert? For someone abroad versus someone in the US? For someone fresh out of high school versus someone with an older family, or older with a family?
Well, that's a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
I think it would be an exaggeration to say that that a seminary education is equally useful for every single person on the planet. Nevertheless, a seminary education is going to be useful for a very broad spectrum of people from a very broad variety of backgrounds, both backgrounds and intentions. So, of course, the first category of people that we would want to see come to seminary are those people who are looking towards the priesthood or becoming and taking orders in the church, priests or deacons, and then people who would serve the church in other capacities, such as chanters and Sunday school teachers and any sort of, basically anything that would be related to church life. That's, of course, the primary category. But there are many other categories of people that would benefit extremely, to a considerable extent, to an enormous extent, actually, from the seminary education for two reasons. First of all, because we learn about the faith here. We learn, and the faith is the single most important thing in a person's life. What can a man give in exchange for his soul? It's a rhetorical question. The answer is nothing.
Yes.
So given that the most important thing in our life is our eternal salvation and our spiritual progress, and it is precisely the seminary education is ordered towards helping people in those to grow in their spiritual life and in their spiritual knowledge, their spiritual understanding, their spiritual maturity, and all of these, of course, are oriented towards our eternal salvation. Not that you automatically get saved by going to the seminary, but that it contributes to our spiritual growth, both in terms of the knowledge and in terms of the life. So, in that sense, given that there's nothing more important than your salvation, anything which would contribute in a substantiative way towards helping you with your salvation and with your spiritual life assumes the most immediate and primary importance for everyone. Now, the secondary aspect is basically the education, the broader intellectual education. In other words, the fact that the seminary functions on a model of a classical education, which means training the mind to think, training you to write clearly, training you to understand what you read, training you to speak articulately, and giving you a body of knowledge which will assist you in almost any walk of life. Now, how that would actually play out in practical terms with a person who, say, is going to go into engineering, or they're going to be a doctor or something like this, these are things that people would work out with their own life. What we've seen so far, and what we've seen in the experience of, let's say, other schools which are broadly parallel to the seminary in terms of their in academic terms, shows that people who go to a seminary like ours, and ours insofar as we have experience of it, don't have problems getting jobs. They get jobs very easily because employers see that they are qualified and good workers, conscientious, able to understand, able to follow directions, able to function well, and thus they can thrive in almost any environment. So the spiritual aspect is the primary aspect, the primary reason why someone would go to seminary, but also in purely academic, intellectual, and practical worldly concerns, there are weighty reasons for a wide variety of people to go to the seminary.
Excellent. I think we'll have one more question from our live audience, and then we'll move on to the big announcements. So, this question here, the person says, Evligite, how should we know who or to what institution we should give to? Is there ever a time when we should not give?
Well, O Kyrios, insofar, I guess there's two ways to look at this question. On the one hand, most people have some disposable income if they are honest with themselves. But at least most people in the United States and Canada have disposable income. Now, maybe that disposable income is $100. Maybe that disposable income is $1 million. And by disposable income, I mean what St. Paul says: if we have food and raiment, let us be content therewith. So in other words, a Christian should be content with living a simple life, with the basic elements of life, and should not be seeking luxuries and living say a very soft and easy life, because as as Christ says, that it's easier for the camel to go through the eye of the needle than for the rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And the disciples will ask, well, how then can he be saved? And Christ says that the things that are impossible with man are possible with God, but one of the practical ways by which they can be saved is specifically through almsgiving, which is the universal teaching of the Fathers of the Church. Now, but it does happen that even though most people don't give according to their actual means in strictly spiritual terms, nevertheless there are limits to what people can give, and there are many different institutions in the church that are asking for help. Starting out with the person's local parish, and then we have the educational institutions in our church in America. So we have the St. John of Damascus educational initiative, which is education for basically grade school and high school students, also oriented on the classical model, also offering a very intense and rigorous and high-level education, which is in many ways preparatory towards the type of education that St. Photios offers, the seminary offers. And then we have, of course, the seminary. We have our missionary work that I'm mostly responsible for in Latin America and to a certain extent in Africa. There's all of our monasteries, and so there's many different things that a person could donate towards, many good causes, let's say. all of which are for the benefit of the church, and all of which are very positive. Insofar as a person has limited disposable income, they are of course not obligated to give to every single thing. God gives us free will. He gives us a choice, and we can give to whatever most draws our attention, or whichever most appeals to our inclinations, or towards whatever basically we feel moved to give towards. And to the extent that a person wants to think through it, they can try to decide, based on rational criteria, what they might think would be the most useful. In a sense, it doesn't matter as long as they are giving according to their means, with a spirit of sacrifice, with a spirit of gratitude, a spirit of thankfulness to God, trying to render back unto God for the things that they have received. And if they're in a position where they are absolutely broke and they're in dire economic straits, then no, they're not under any obligation to donate. That's certainly a situation where a person has no obligation to donate. Now, if they can help out by other means, then that is how they ought to help out. There's plenty of scope for that within the life of the church. And if they are in such dire positions that they can't do anything whatsoever, then they should still give thanks to God for all things and for the situation that they're in, not grumble, and ask for God's mercy, and then with the intention that whenever their situation straightens out and they're able to get themselves back together, to be thankful to God for having helped them to get themselves back together, to be thankful for if there are other people involved to help them out to get on their feet, to be thankful to them, and then to take back up the normal Christian life of charity.
Very good. Thank you, Your Grace. Well, everybody, stick around a little bit because we're going to make some big announcements. We're going to tell everybody how much money we raised on Giving Tuesday. But before we do that, Your Grace, I'm going to do something that I did with all of the other guests. I'm going to give you a gift.
Oh, boy.
Okay, here we go. I tried to get everybody a different gift of some kind, so if you can let everybody know what this gift is here.
Let's see here, what is this?
Yes, from Eastern Christian Supply Company, once again.
It is a Christmas tree candle.
Yes, it is a candle, and I believe it was made by the nuns here in Etna. So, Your Grace, I hope you enjoy this candle.
Yeah, I don't think they'll let me light it on the plane.
Might have to do it when you land.
Yeah,
so.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Actually, Your Grace, I had to mention this, and it's very important that we do mention this. We've had so many people on the show. We had Pedro, Tatiana, Mother Praxia. Now, there's a way for people to meet these people, and that's to go to the Seminary Conference, which is happening on February 16th to the 21st. And Your Grace, you actually participated in the last conference we had. You came in through Zoom. Do you think people should come to this conference here in Etna?
Do you honestly expect me to say no?
No. I had a feeling you'd probably say yes. But you say it in such a good way. Yeah.
Let me put it this way. The seminary conference last year was really beautiful, and even though I wasn't able to be there physically, it was great to participate in it, even virtually by Zoom. And so I have every reason to expect that the conference this year will be just as nice and just as edifying and just as interesting to people. So I would encourage people to either come here physically to St. Photius, to the seminary, because part of the purpose of it is for people to get to know the seminary, because of course we're all scattered out throughout many different states, many different areas, even different countries, and it's not necessarily the place that you're going to be stopping by when you're driving to someplace else. It's not on the way, it's out in California. So if people can come in and participate physically and just see what the seminary is about, it's a really great open house. And then if otherwise to watch the events online. I think it would be very both interesting and edifying for people.
Yeah, and maybe you can drink tea when you come over here too. We have plenty of it. So, okay.
Thank you, Timothy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Your Grace. Well, everybody, the moment has come. We are now going to make the big announcement how much we have made here today on Giving Tuesday. All right. Your Grace, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Supporters, are you ready? I hope so. Okay. All right, everybody. So, this Giving Tuesday, you gave our dear viewers and supporters in less than a day over $7,000. Now, that actually means that that's $14,000 with the help of our generous donor for the matching fund. That is amazing, and that is wonderful, and we are so thankful for everybody who has been giving. And we also want to thank so much Bishop Maximus for letting us have this event here today. What a wonderful thing. But here's the thing. Now, okay, so Giving Tuesday, it's not over yet. Yeah, for last I checked, it's still we're still in the day of Tuesday right now. So there's still time to give. Okay, everybody. Okay, you can give for this Giving Tuesday campaign until Wednesday, December 6th, where Dr. Demetrios Alibertis, who is the teacher of the Old Testament class, and our students talked about him. They really like him, and he is a great guy. He will be giving a live stream public lecture titled The Three Children in the Fiery Furnace, An Image and Mystery of the Church. December 6th, Wednesday, December 6th. He's going to be giving that. So you can be giving money at spots.edu/teatime. We are so thankful for all of you. Your Grace, I am so happy that you were on this show today, and I'm so happy for everybody who's been on the show today. We are so thankful for all of you. Very much so. All right, everyone. So you know what that means. You can still give to the seminary, and you can still support spots.edu/teatime. But right now, that's it for Tea Time Live, the Giving Tuesday special. So, Your Grace, you've been on the show before, and so we're going to do something that we typically do at the very end of our show. We say thank you to everybody, but then we say cheers as well. So we have to do it in sync, though. So we say cheers at the same time. So I'll say 3, 2, 1, and we'll say cheers, and then the show will be over. But the fun has only begun. To go to spots.edu/teatime. There's still time to do it until December 6th, actually. Okay, Your Grace, if you may, we'll hold up our tea. Everybody, thank you so much for watching Tea Time at the Seminary. If you like what you saw today, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel called St. Photios Orthodox Theological Seminary. 3, 2, 1, cheers. Thank you.